Good morning, church. How are you? Come on. It's 1 week from Mega Impact. How you doing? All right, we have got to practice this. Next week, we've got to pretend like we like each other, all right? We're going to have 100 students from the University of Tennessee here next week, and I love this one because they're telling us a lot of the students this year, it's their first time here, and many of these students aren't connected with a church, or, maybe it's not a big, God's not a big part of their life. So this is our opportunity to go crazy loving on some UT students. I mean, just throwing up love on them. Can you handle it? So let's practice this. Next week when we get here, we're all going to be in our Mega Impact t-shirts. We're going to be having a great time getting ready for Family Fun Day. We'll smell the cooking going on. So when I say, how you doing, church, this is how you're going to respond. 3 out of 100. Not bad, not bad. All right, just get ready. It's going to be a fun service next week. Anything goes there. We actually will still be in our series, Marriage University. And next week is going to be the sex talk. We're going to talk about sex next Sunday. And, if you've got young kids, maybe they would enjoy kids' church better. But, it's going to be good for everyone, preteen on up. We're going to be talking about this beautiful, beautiful thing called sex and its role in our lives and marriage and all that. So it's going to be a fun service all the way around. Join us next Sunday for Mega Impact. But today, we are in part 4 of Marriage University, and this is the point of the service where I usually will give out candy. But, I've done that 3 times already, so I thought, let me give away something else, something cute and snuggly that you can curl up with at night. So, you know how to earn your prize. You've got to remember what we've covered so far. So, 4 weeks ago, Marriage University 1, what was the take-home principle? God is the designer. That is great. That is great. Very good. You catch it on. God is the designer. Marriage is not something we came up with. God created this, and we read about it. He designed it, and it's for a specific purpose. Now, we use musical instruments to illustrate that. You wouldn't dare think you pick up a sexy guitar and master it all of a sudden. Well, you don't pick a sexy spouse and all of a sudden be a master at marriage. No. It takes an incredible amount of growth and work and learning. And so we want to find out God's design for marriage. And that's what this series is about. How many of you remember what week 2 was about? Yes, your marriage is being what? Opposed. Right off the bat, God joins together Adam and Eve in marriage, and Satan shows up trying to split them apart. God says marriage is this very special, mysterious relationship on earth, and through marriage, we show the world what His unconditional love looks like in the flesh. And so Satan would love to mess that up, give marriage a bad perspective, just make it look like an ugly, unhealthy thing. And so he is going to attack your marriage on a daily basis. How many of you feel like your marriage is attacked at times? How many of you know this? Come on. Yeah, absolutely. So expect marriage to be tough at times. And then to add to that, last week, what did we cover? You both entered marriage, what? Broken. You brought so much pain and baggage and mistakes and failures and pride and wounds and goodness, just all the stuff from your past and who you are just wrapped up into one. Just imagine all of your pains, all of your baggage, and then you take another person's pain and baggage, you put that together behind closed doors for years. Of course, there's going to be conflict and turmoil, but yet that is God's beautiful design for 2 broken people to come together, for all those things to be squeezed out, come to the surface, exposed, and then healing if we're doing marriage the way it was designed and pushing each other to Christ, to healing, to grace, to mercy, to forgiveness. Marriage is designed to help us become Christ-like, help us to become holy and whole. But if you enter it for happiness, Well, people get married and divorced out of happiness. You make me happy, I want to marry you. You don't make me happy, I don't want to be married to you. It's not about happiness. It's about wholeness. It's about holiness. It's about oneness. And so you come broken, and all that junk is ultimately, God willing, going to be squeezed to the surface. Really, the sooner the better, so you can pursue healing and just begin to experience life as a whole individual and a married couple. So yes, you both entered marriage broken. So today I want to continue that a little bit with the next principle, but you did good. You remembered God as a designer. Your marriage is being opposed, so you entered broken. So I want to give away something cute and cuddly that you can curl up with at night. Let's see what we have here. It's my good friend Maddox, the constrictor. Woo! Check it out. Look at this cute little guy. Let's see, who? I heard Virginia Acord just love. Oh, people have wondered for years. I've heard it for years. That's a snake handling church. Well, apparently we are. This little guy is not poisonous. If he bites me, I will cry like a girl and squeal and mess myself and all that stuff. But I want to use this to illustrate today's point. I want you to think back. Let's see if I can get this little guy. Think back to the serpent in the garden, the snake in the garden. In fact, let me see if I can get this little guy around. Yeah, that's pretty close to the face. How am I doing? We doing all right? You know, I've never done a selfie while preaching before, but I thought this would be a good moment. Y'all smile for me. All right, look for that on Facebook later. You get to be in that one. Yeah, that's a constrictor, all right. Get a little. All right. Let's make this illustration fast. I want y'all to, this is normal, right? Got the owner down there getting quite friendly. All right, she's giving me the signal if I'm in danger. Whoa, hello. I'm going to pretend like everything's good. Okay, you're walking. You didn't come up here first service. That's making me a little nervous. How's he doing?
Snake's good. You're just nervous.
Okay, yeah. Snake's fine. It's you that's in trouble.
You're not in trouble. You're just nervous. I'm going to go ahead and... You're like, I want to stay. But
Nice.
Why are you going back around?
Kirby, I got my eye on you, brother. It's not supposed to turn out like this.
You laughing ain't helping me.
Woo! Thank you. Thank you. Where was I? Oh, yes. Being choked by it, just like every other Sunday. You know, I want you to think about this, though. Think about the serpent in the garden that came to Adam and Eve. It says it was the craftiest of all animals. But what happened just before the serpent came to Adam and Eve? Do you remember? Adam had just been given the assignment of naming all of the animals. All of the animals. How long did that take? And how much did he interact with the animals? How many snakes did he interact with? And so I would think, honestly, I would think by that point, snakes were not a big deal. We freak out like Virginia. Virginia, come on, now's your day to get some healing from this. I'm freaked out myself right now. But Adam would have interacted with the serpents and the snakes. He named all of them. And so when a snake comes up, for them it would not have been a big deal. They would have interacted just fine. And so the serpent comes up to talk. Apparently he had the ability to talk and to tempt Adam and Eve, and he began to whisper things to her and talk to her and tried to distort what was going on with God. Now, I'm cool, but for your benefit, I'm going to let Maddox go back in his home. I can tell y'all are freaked out. And I'm a little wetter than I was when we started this service, but think about that. The snake came up and would not have been a big deal for Adam and Eve. And yet, this is how Satan gets into our homes. And so, the principle for today, this is a very short message, but oh, how important it is for you right now in your life and in your marriage. The principle I want you to take home today is beware of the wolves, or beware of the serpent, or beware of the foxes in your home. If you got my email this week, you know what I'm talking about when I say wolves. Our little girl Bailey's about to turn 3 in a couple weeks. She's a mega impact baby. She was born, I was actually talking to the UT students one year and got the call that we're about to have a baby. So we always celebrate Bailey's birthday with our mega impact students. And so she's about to turn 3 years old, but apparently sometime recently she watched one of those cartoons that had the big bad wolf in it, and it has scarred her. She is convinced, she's got it in her head now that the wolf is coming to get her. In fact, there's some woods behind our house. She's convinced that there is a wolf in the woods. And we talked to her, baby girl, there's not a wolf in the woods. You're saved. Mommy and Daddy love you. You're here. Nothing will never let anything happen to you. Oh, you're going to be... Oh, no. There is a wolf in the woods. And so when she goes outside to play, we'll take her out. And she likes playing with the rocks and things like that. But let a bird squeak or a weird noise or the wind blow in the trees. It's a wolf in the woods. And she's running inside. Sometimes it's a monster or an elephant. I don't know. It's usually a wolf in the woods. Now, is there a wolf in the woods? There's not a wolf in the woods. I checked. There's not a wolf in the woods, but there might as well be. Because in her world, there's a wolf in the woods, and it has changed everything about her reality. It is affecting her personality. It's affecting her playing habits. It's affecting her sense of security and safety. It has rattled her. She believes there's a wolf in the woods that wants to get her. And in your marriage, there's a wolf in the woods. Is there really a wolf in the woods? But no. No. But in your mind, more than likely, there's a wolf in the woods. Or, as Song of Solomon likes to refer to it, there's a fox in the vineyard. If you're familiar with the Song of Solomon, this is God's love chapter for young lovers, and it just talks about the passion that you have for each other. And in Song of Solomon 2:15, it says, our vineyards are in blossom. Now, you know what that means. That means, oh yeah, I love you. You looking good. And I want to be with you. Our marriage is going to be awesome. However, we got to get rid of these little foxes that are trying to destroy the vineyard. There are some little foxes running around your house right now trying to destroy the vineyard. Now, like the serpent, the fox is a little crafty animal. It might look cute at times, but he's going around, and any low-lying branch, he's going to take a grape here. He's going to snatch one off of there. He's going to whisper something to you here. Hey, did you hear that? This is what he's just doing damage to the vineyard and taking the fruit from your home, taking the life out of your marriage. He's whispering things to you to distort reality. What did the serpent say to Eve? Now, is that really what God said? Is that really what he meant? No. That's not what God meant. What he really meant was he doesn't want you to be fully happy, because if you take that, then you'll really be full. You'll be like God. You'll be powerful. Now listen, many times we talk about hearing the voice of God. Today, very quickly, here's what I want for you. I want you to know how to hear the voice of the enemy, the voice of the devil, the voice of the serpent, the voice of your accuser who, I promise you, is whispering things to you, trying to convince you there's a wolf in the woods. Here's how the devil speaks. He almost always speaks in just, he places a stamp of hopelessness. He always uses words like never. You will never be happy. You will never be loved the way you want. Your kids will never do what they're supposed to do. Your spouse, your husband will never find you fully attractive. Your bride, your wife will never really respect you for who you are. Does that sound familiar, anybody? Listen, the accuser is stamping words of hopelessness on your life, not just married couples, everyone, right now. He comes like that serpent to just twist it enough to make you think you won't really be happy unless or until or maybe never. He speaks words of shame against your identity. Look at what you've done. You'll never truly be accepted. Or you don't really deserve to be loved or to be fulfilled. You know, me and my family, I confess that this is true for me. My boys, it just seems like whenever they're upset about something, they go to my wife, Michelle. That may be normal for boys their age, but you know what I hear? I hear the voice of the accuser say, you know what? They'll never be as close to you as they are to her. And I have to wrestle that. You know, it does bother me. So why won't they come to me? Oh, they don't trust you as much. Or they don't love you as much. You know, my wife and I over the years, you know, one of those big things that affects all marriages, finances. And I've heard it many times through the years. You'll never flourish financially. Or you'll never overcome this. Or you'll never find unity. Or you'll never... it's that wolf in the woods just growling and howling at night. It's that serpent just wanting to convince us of a danger that doesn't exist, of a fate that isn't from God's mouth. And if you listen to it, you'll never have peace. You won't be able to play without running inside in fear. You won't be able to fully give yourself to your loved one, to your spouse. You'll never walk in the freedom of knowing you are loved and accepted because that fox is just nipping at your heels all day long. Just imagine this attacker, this accuser, all your baggage, and now these lies, these daily lies that want you to see reality for not as it is. I want to give you an example of a powerful love story that I think if any spouse hears daily lies about their reality, it's probably this bride. Watch this video with me.
Ian and I first met in 2005 at college and had a blast for 10 months getting to know each other. And I was looking through and I found one of my favorite pictures, which I think was actually taken right before his accident. He set up a camera on his tripod. We'd been dating for 10 months and he was working an extra job for his dad and he was on his way to work near Pittsburgh. And we got a phone call that he had been in an accident and we didn't know if it was when he got to work or on his way. And so we got down to Pittsburgh and I was just praying the whole time in the car that it wouldn't be his brain. After being at the hospital for a few hours, we found out that it was, and he had been in brain surgery for a few hours and had suffered a traumatic brain injury. God totally spared his life. One night he was failing 4 out of 5 brain activity tests, and the next morning he was doing well and his brain was starting to respond again. I moved in with his family after the accident, so I was really involved in his therapy and just did whatever I could to make his life fun. We'd go out on dates, and looking back, it's weird because he couldn't talk and he couldn't eat. So we probably looked like complete weirdos being on dates, but we had a blast and I just talked to him all the time. We decided that We couldn't really consider marriage as an option until Ian was able to communicate. But if he could communicate with me, then we could have a marriage, knowing it would be really different. But as long as Ian could talk to me, then we could make it work. So once Ian began communicating, it became a little bit more of an option. And then we just kind of watched Ian progress. Hi, husband.
Hi, wifey.
How are you? What?
How are you?
How was your day?
Yes.
A conversation I had with his dad, it was one of those conversations where I realized this could happen. Then that August, his dad was diagnosed with brain cancer. And at that point, his dad's biggest concern was Ian and I, and whether or not we were gonna get married or step away from our relationship. He wanted us to make a decision to move our lives in some direction. He passed away before he was able to see us get engaged, but that was a huge impetus in why we started to pursue engagement. I think what helped us in deciding to make this commitment to each other, at least for me, is knowing that Ian wouldn't have left me if the roles were reversed, and that we love each other and we know that God's going to be faithful to our marriage. We're able to love each other with, I think, a more Christ-like love because of Ian's disability, and just to understand that picture a little bit better than if you were healthy.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yes.
What about God enables you to have a happy marriage?
You know,
What?
he's awesome.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
Ian and Larissa asked me to read a couple of quotes from a man named John Piper, who's a well-known Bible teacher, and he talks about marriage and how this mystery refers to Christ and the church. And he says this: marriage is not mainly about prospering economically. It is mainly about displaying the covenant-keeping love between Christ and his church. He says, knowing Christ is more important than making a living. Treasuring Christ is more important than bearing children. Either way, it is short. It may have many bright days, or it may be covered with clouds. But if we set our face to make of marriage mainly what God designed it to be, no sorrows and no calamities can stand in our way. Every one of them will be not an obstacle to success, but a way to succeed. The beauty of the covenant-keeping love between Christ and his church shines brightest when nothing but Christ can sustain it.
Don't you know she hears the lies every day? You'll never be fully happy. You'll never be totally fulfilled in your marriage. You won't have a husband to provide for you. Devil may come in the form of a serpent, may come in the form of a lion or a fox, or maybe a loved one, maybe a friend. What they say sounds kind of true, but it's not true. It's not God's best for you. Don't you see the things that we worry about, the things that cause us conflict, the things that divide us are not the primary things. They're not the eternal things. They are the secondary things. We have an opportunity to love each other, husband and wife, even family members and friends. with the true love of Christ that has nothing to do with sex or emotions or feelings or how good you are at this or how good you are at that, but the kind of love that is patient, the kind of love that is kind, the kind of love that is not proud and it doesn't boast and it's not self-seeking, the kind of love that always trusts, it always perseveres, no matter how hard it gets, and it always hopes. This kind of love never, ever, ever fails. It won't fail you, it won't fail your spouse. God's love never fails us, and it won't fail the world. Let us walk in that kind of love together. I invite you now, if you don't know, a couple of our worship leaders, Lance and Liz Ruiz, have been married for
2 years.
2 years now. Marriage is easy, right? No, it's not. It's not easy for anyone. You meet a couple, say, oh yeah, marriage is easy. Oh my goodness. Run the other direction. They don't know how bad they're screwing up. It's hard for everyone. You've got your baggage, you've got the accuser, you've got these lies. As they sing a song to each other and with us, would you just pray this prayer today? One thing I want you to pray today, and I believe God will answer this. I believe God will bring clarity and maybe some healing to your life and marriage today. Just pray, God, what is the biggest lie I've been believing? What's the biggest wolf in the woods right now in my life, in our marriage, in our home? Prayerfully reflect on this as they sing with us.
Into your eyes, it's like watching the night sky or a beautiful sunrise. There's so much they hold, and just like those old stars, see that you've come so far to be right where you are. How old is your soul? I won't give up on us, even if the skies get rough. I'm giving you all my love. I'm still looking up. No, I won't give up on us, even if the skies get rough. I'm giving you all my love. I'm still looking up. 'Cause even the stars, they burn, and some even fall to the earth. Baby, we've got a lot to learn, but God knows we're worth it. So I won't give up on us, even if the skies get rough. I'm giving you all my love. God knows we're worth it. Oh, I won't give up on us, even when the skies, they will get rough. Giving you all my love, 'cause God knows you're worth it. I won't give up on us, even if the skies get rough. I'm giving you all my love. God knows you're worth it. I won't getting rough, I'm giving you all my love, 'cause God knows you're worth it.
Thank you, Lance and Liz. Listen, will you spend some time before you leave talking with each other? Maybe hang out and talk with one of the intercessors on the sides here. They'd love just to pray a word of encouragement to you. Maybe God would reveal that light. You know, Scripture tells us in Corinthians, God says when these kinds of things come at us, what do? We take these thoughts captive. Take these thoughts captive so that we can continue to walk in obedience. What does that mean? Well, I just think you take a thought captive, it doesn't mean it will necessarily go away, but it's sure tied up in the corner in chains. It's not free to roam your house and do all the damage that it wants to. It may still remind you that it's there, but it's not going to do the damage it used to. Take those thoughts captive and say, this is not of God, and I'm not going to believe it, and I'm not going to let it affect my life and home anymore. I'm going to line myself up with the truth of God's love and walk in that by faith. And I believe there's hope and healing for you. I believe there's another level that you haven't even imagined yet. You can't imagine how good your marriage could be. Stop and pause and talk about this today before you leave, hopefully, or maybe over lunch. God bless you, church. I hope you'll spend some time with us. Get your mega shirt. Get ready for next weekend. Join us for Growth Track 2 if you haven't. But let's go to a new place of health in our homes this week. God bless you. Amen.